Thank you, everybody, for joining the Monday sprint demos. Of course, we moved it from Friday due to the holiday here in the US. It is Sprint 43, Technetium. Hard to find a pun for Technetium. This is Fleet 4.71. And we're going to hand it off to George in the MDM product group for their features.
All righty, kicking us off is Gabe Hernandez showing off EULA with GitOps.
Hey guys, share my screen. Okay. Sorry, I have a really wide monitor. I'll increase the text. Yeah, so here's the story. Adding EULA via GitOps. So as an IT admin using GitOps, I want to be able to configure the EULA and user license agreement via GitOps, so that I can require from my end users who automatically enroll their hosts to agree to it before enrollment. So those of you unfamiliar with this flow, on Macs and Windows, I think you can, as part of the automatic enrollment, there's a section where we allow Fleet users to show a PDF to the end user. Just usually it's like a EULA, end user license agreement, and basically they have to look through that and accept it before they can set up their device. So yeah, this is basically adding that or being able to add that via GitOps. So let me show you a couple of different flows here. So the first thing I'm going to show, let me just center this, is we've added the GitOps mode in the UI. So if I enable GitOps mode, first off, let me show you, I'm over in settings, integrations, I go to change management, and here I'm going to enable GitOps mode. I'm just going to have some dummy URL. If I go to the mobile device management section now, you'll see that the GitOps mode section here, the button to upload is disabled, meaning the user is meant to control this via GitOps now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Over here on the left-hand side, I have kind of my dummy GitOps project. I'm going to add a new key called end user license agreement. And I'm going to put in the path of a PDF I have, .pdf. So this is just the path to this directory here. And then inside of this directory, I have testula.pdf. This is just a dummy PDF file. So I'm going to save this and kind of just imagine theater of the mind that this is running on GitHub, and this configuration will be applied. I'm going to do that right now, just locally, not through GitHubs or not through GitHub. So end user license agreement. Oh no, sorry. This is a child of the MDM key, so it has to go under the MDM. Let me redo that. Oh gosh, what happened? There we go. Okay. GitOps succeeded. So if I go over to the UI now and I refresh the page, you'll see in that section there is now the EULA that I was able to upload via GitOps. We are still in GitOps mode. So you're not allowed to upload via the UI, and you're also not allowed to delete via the UI. So this little icon has a message basically saying that this is controlled via GitOps. And if I wanted to delete this EULA, all I do is just leave this blank or leave it off completely. I'm just going to leave it blank for now. I'm going to rerun the, did I do the same thing? Sorry, demo. Sorry, demo gods. Um, I've never seen this happen. This should just be deleting. I don't think this is the issue. Not sure what's happening here. Did I do something wrong? Okay, I will look at this issue. Sorry about that. Let me go back. There's one last thing I wanted to show you. I'm going to disable the change management so I can delete this EULA. Oh, it was deleted. Okay. Okay, sorry. I think we're having some issues with the GitOps command I'll have to look into, but it seemed like it was deleted here. The last thing I was going to show you is I'm just going to upload one via the UI. So I've uploaded one via the UI, and this is there was a demo that Scott gave a while back for Generate GitOps. So this is supported in Generate GitOps as well. So if I go to my GitOps file, my project, and I'm going to run Generate GitOps. It's generated that GitOps directory. And if I look at that directory, you'll see in the default YAML, it's generated the end user license agreement key, that new one we've just added with the path to the PDF. And it's also downloaded that PDF and put it in your project. So that will be under lib, EULA, and test PDF. So these paths match and are generated when you run Generate GitOps. Any questions on this? No?
One in the chat from Harrison.
Sure. Let me see.
Looks like Mark has already called it out that it needs to
Just
be
for
a
the
PDF.
recording, I'll just read for the recording. Which location types are supported? Do I need to have the PDF in the repo? Can I call something in a remote URL?
Do I need to? No, so you can't call something in the root URL currently. It's just paths. Do I need to have PDF? Yes, so you're meant to have the PDF in the repo. Usually just living under this lib directory.
Cool.
It doesn't have to be there, but that's kind of where when you like do a GitOps template from our repo, you make your own project. There's already this lib directory and a lot of files in there already. I think yeah, cool. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Gabe. All right,
No
next
worries.
up, we've got Jordan showing off his joint effort with Martin on user channel profiles.
Yep. Just a moment. Yeah, so I've just got a quick video to demo all of this. There are several individual tickets within this, so I tried to hit everything quickly in this video, but make sure it's muted, unmuted. And I want to make sure, okay, sorry. Wanted to make sure I was sharing with video as well. So let me know if everyone can hear this in just a moment. We'll chat. Hi, we're going to do a quick demo of the new functionality we've added to Fleet to deploy certificates to the login keychain, also known as the user keychain on Mac OS. So our user story: as an IT admin, I want to deploy and renew certificates from Indes, DigiCert, and my custom SCEP CA to the login keychain on my Mac OS hosts so that I can securely connect my end users to third-party tools. And really the impetus behind this story, we've had profile support for a while. However, we've always delivered those to the device channel. And really what we're doing here is delivering profiles and thus, certificates and whatever else they contain to the user channel. So you can see there were a number of subtasks as part of this. We delivered some of this at the beginning or during the last sprint, and we're delivering more of this during this sprint to deliver things to the user channel. So that is all enabled by this setting in a profile, this payload scope setting. So if a profile has this user payload scope setting and you upload it, we will now deliver that to the user channel on hosts that have it enabled. You can see this is a pretty standard custom SCEP CA profile. And I've got a VM we're going to show that has, you know, nothing but the base fleet profiles, nothing in the keychain. So I'm going to go ahead and add that profile I just showed you. So we're going to choose our SCEP proxy cert mobile config. We've uploaded that to the team. We'll go back here. You'll see it's now marked as pending, so it's getting that ready to send to our host. And then we'll take a look at the host here. So that should be getting sent to this host pretty soon. So you can see it's been delivered to that host. I've now got a new private key and certificate in here in the login keychain on that host. And if you've looked at this screen before on a device managed by Fleet, you'll notice a little difference here, which is that this shows a user profile. So previously you would have seen everything under device. So now we've got a user profile. And as part of this story, to be able to verify these profiles, Martin has added a new table, macOS user profiles, to OS Query. So when we run a live query against that table, you'll see that that profile is returned. I'm also going to go check over here on this host. So if I refresh, you know, that's now marked as verifying. We'll refetch that host. You can see here that my SCEP proxy cert user profile was returned. It shows my username there. And once this refetch finishes up, we will see that profile is now verified. So, you know, as mentioned, there's a number of moving pieces here that were required to actually get. So essentially, everything from changing our enrollment profile, changing the code that decides, you know, to send our profiles, to send them to the correct channel. You know, there were changes made by Martin to verification, changes for setup experience, because the user channel actually gets created at the end of setup experience, you know, potentially much later than device channel. So there's like a hold off period that has to be, you know, used to make sure that, you know, we wait and we have to essentially wait because we can't send them until the device, until the user channel checks in. So it's a, you know, small looking change, but really enables a lot more functionality with profiles, and a lot of things like these login keychain profiles enable some really nice functionality that our admins and users have been asking for. Because once you can put a profile on the login keychain, there are some different things you can do with it, such as setting certificate preferences that weren't possible before from the device, you know, system keychain certificates we would have installed. So, you know, more to come on this. We do still intend to add some additional visibility into things like which users have a user channel enabled, because Apple has some kind of strange rules around that, and whether devices have a user channel or not, because as I mentioned, this required a change to our enrollment profile. So there are a number of follow-on tickets, you know, scheduled for future releases. Thank you. Yep. So that is that story. Yeah, thanks for watching.
All righty. Thank you, Jordan. If anybody has any questions, otherwise, that's it for the MDM team. Back to you, Luke.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabe and Jordan. And Jordan's story, that was a request from customer Pengali. Next up, we have orchestration. So I'm going to hand off to Sharon.
Thank you, Luke. And we will start with 3 stories by Victor, starting with a feature that was requested by an important customer to have MTLS communication between the agent and the server. Victor implemented it a little different, and he will explain how and why. Victor, take it.
Thank you, Sharon. Let me go ahead and share. Yeah, so we are still actively working on this feature, but it's good to kind of see where we are at this and perhaps tell other customers about this security feature. So let's go ahead and roll the video. In this demo, we're going to sign our agent traffic with a TPM-backed identity certificate. So this is a POC for a bigger story that, for the full story that we're going to work on next sprint. So on high level, what does this feature do? Well, it provides stronger authentication between the agent and the Fleet server. Specifically, it has a certificate that will be requested for Fleet that is TPM backed. So TPM is the Trusted Platform Module, which is built into the hardware. So the private key is actually in the hardware, and it's impossible for software to get to it. So that way we guarantee that the device that got the certificate is the one that's sending traffic to the Fleet server. So this is stronger authentication than the current methods, which is using a node key that can be easily copied, and also MTLS. If you use MTLS, it is not TPM backed right now, so it's possible to copy the MTLS certificate to a different device. With TPM backed, we are guaranteeing that we are on that same device that got the certificate in the first place. So high level, how this works. The agent starts up, it checks if there is a certificate already. If not, then it uses the SCEP protocol to get a cert. It uses the TPM to get a private key, gets a private key handle. It signs the certificate signing request. It sends the request and gets a cert back. Then using that cert, it starts sending the traffic to the Fleet server with an HTTP signature using some standards. So some standards we're using for the signature, we're using RFC 9421. So our signatures is a standard, it's a draft standard. SCEP is a standard. TPM2 is also standard. Let's go ahead and jump to our host. So to check if your host has TPM, you would check for this path. And we're looking for this guy. This is the TPM Resource Manager that became available in Linux kernel 4.12, which came out in 2017. And Linux distributions based on that kernel have been out since 2018, 2019. So for simplicity, we're just going to be relying on this TPM Resource Manager and not the legacy way. The Resource Manager is able to handle access from multiple applications, so it's less likely to have issues. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's install Fleet here. We're installing okay, we're installing, and let's start our journal control. So I'm going to pause it until we get some traffic here. Okay, we're seeing things happening. So I got a lot of debug messages here. So initialize TPM2, it found the device. It tried to load the existing key. They don't exist. Then it goes ahead and starts the SCEP process. So it got created a key. We're using ECCC P384. That is a modern, fast, secure standard, stronger than what Apple MDM uses, which is RSA 2048. It created the key. It saved it to a file. Then it created the SCEP CSR request. And then it sent the PK operation to SCEP to get a cert. It got a cert back. It saved it. And then in the end, it reloaded it just to keep things simple, because normally it just loads everything. So I just reloaded it. And let's go ahead and go and see the files. So Orbit, we got all the files here. So we have these files are going to be renamed. Currently they're just blobs. We're going to use a de facto standard for saving these files, these TPM files. And then we have the cert right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cert. Sudo, I think I can copy and paste. Here we go, and we see our public key, P384 curve, ECC, right here. So let's go back and look at the actual traffic that's happening. So if we look at OS query traffic, and we look at the headers, so we now see a few things. We see this content digest, that's new. So this is part of related to the standard for HTTP signing. We see the signature itself right here. And we see what exactly we're signing. We're signing the method, which is get, authority, that's the host, the path, that's this up here, the query, any query parameters, and the content digest, so digest of the body. So that is what we're signing for everything. So this is an OS query request, and we can also look at the Orbit request. So for OS query request, we are proxying all OS query traffic through Orbit, so that way there is a single place that interacts with TPM and does the HTTP signing for both OS query traffic and Orbit traffic. Let's go ahead and look at Fleet. So we have this guy here. So we have the device, it's all good. For more details on this, go ahead and go to this Docs Contributing Products Group Orchestration document, and there's a bunch more details about the specifics and some of the issues. Let me just point out a couple things. We are using the enrollment secret right now to get the certificate. In the future, we want to be able to support one-time enrollment secrets for additional security. We do need to support renewal of the cert. And then currently it's Linux only, so we would want to extend this to Windows and Apple as well. All right, so as Sharon mentioned, we decided to go with TPM back HTTP signature.
Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at Democracy.
Sorry about that. So the reason we went with this approach is the main reason actually MTLS is kind of hard to set up for customers because they need to terminate. Usually, standard approach is to terminate MTLS at your load balancer. And then if you're trying to link your traffic to a specific host identity, you need some logic in your load balancer. So it's a lot more cumbersome to set up MTLS. While with HTTP signature, we basically verify the host identity right at our server. So we don't need to worry about TLS termination or TLS proxies. That's really the main reason. The other reason is, like I mentioned in the video, with MTLS, we are not doing hardware-backed MTLS. So this feature is actually two features. We're doing TPM-backed, so we have a TPM-backed, hardware-backed certificate, and we're doing HTTP signing. So it's like two features in one. Let's move on to the next feature. Next two are kind of small.
Victor, one comment about that. You already mentioned that the OS query will run through a proxy, but I want to re-emphasize that if some of you missed that, an important part of this work is that we don't have to touch OS query at all. They will the OS query communication will go through the proxy and be signed, thus saving us all the work of going to OS query, waiting for it, and it'll be immediately done.
Yes, thank you, Sharon. And it also opens up for us to be adding additional headers or metadata to OS query traffic because we now will have a proxy for OS query traffic. All right, so this one was initiated by one of our customers. Basically, we want to, by default, we want our Fleet GitOps to be running every 24 hours. And that is, we actually had this initially, but then we thought it may be too disruptive for customers. But with customer feedback, we're actually hearing that their customers are expecting that the GitOps will automatically run to keep their fleet in sync. So if we go ahead and look at our repo, it's in our repo, so it's in there and it's also running. So we are actually in our Fleet GitOps demo repo. We are running this every 24 hours. And this is on our test render instance. So it also adds, it's actually a good thing for kind kind of testing, because it adds additional tests for our Fleet GitOps repos that it's running every day. So we also have it in GitLab. So in case people didn't know, we are in GitLab, and we do have the Fleet GitOps repo in GitLab. I think GitLab uses the free render instance, while GitHub is using the premium render instance to run GitOps. And the last thing is engineering initiated story. We wanted to track some development metrics, specifically the metrics we're tracking. So this is the software development lifecycle, rough idea. We understand the why, we design, we implement the code, and then a few other things happen. And the things that these metrics are focusing on is first time to first review. So from when PR is ready to review until it receives the first review, and then time to merge. So again, once PR is ready to review, any cycles, rework here until it's actually merged. So we can go ahead and look at these metrics. So these are currently I'm showing company-wide. Our time to first review is 7 hours, which is really good. And time to merge is actually under 24 hours right now, which is also really good. Now, these are backwards looking metrics, so they're not looking at a PR that's currently open that hasn't been merged yet. It's just looking at the data, just samples after the review has already happened up here, or after a merge has already happened. So you see this spike up here. So if a PR was outstanding for a while and then it got merged, you'll see this spike. So it's a slightly different metric than our KPI open time, but it's also very useful. So this metric showing us that generally we're doing a good job merging PRs. It can also break it down by engineering teams here. So if I look at all engineering, it's also pretty good. 6 hours to review, 20 hours to merge. That's it for me. Back to Sharon.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And we'll move to 3 videos from Jacob. I will present them in a second. Okay, we'll start with the first video.
The resolution looks
Do you see it well?
bad. Maybe we'll wait a minute.
Good now?
Hey,
Do you see it well
everybody.
enough, Victor?
We see it.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Jacob Shandling here with the demonstration of the new abilities to change a new query's name and or team when saving an existing query as a new query. So as a user on the edit query page, I want to duplicate a query to a different team or change its name so that I can easily test changes before rolling them out org-wide. Now here we have a query on all teams, and we're viewing it as a global admin. And when we go to the edit query page, we see our familiar save as new button. And now when we hit it, we'll get this intermediary step, the save as new modal, which is going to allow us to update the name. It'll default as a copy of the current name, and it'll also allow us to change the team it's going to. So we're going to create a copy and send it to the Apples team. And this dropdown contains every team available, since again I'm a global admin. And then we're sent to the new query report page for the new query on the Apples team. Now, if we are let's get a reminder of the roles of this user. So this is Oliver at organization.com. And Oliver is currently, let's just drop Oliver to have one team. So Oliver is an admin of the Apples team. And so he's going to see the Apples queries. Now here's the query we just created. And when Oliver hits save as new, since he only has write access to one team, he can't update the team, and he's not going to get that team's dropdown. So we'll have a copy of the copy here on Apples. But what if Oliver now has admin access to the orange teams, or let's say maintainer access to the orange's team, and then attempts to create a copy of the copy. Now Oliver does see the dropdown because now he has a choice of teams. So we're going to create one now on the orange's team, and we'll clear these out. And then one last condition will be where Oliver has access to a team but not write access. So Oliver's just going to have observer access to the workstation's team, and we'll see when he tries to edit this orange's team query and save as new. Again, Oliver is a maintainer of the orange's team but not of the workstation's team, so he will not see the workstation's team as an option here, and we can search that team's dropdown as well. And that is the feature. Hey everybody, Jacob Shandling here with a demonstration of Jacob here with a demo of the new styles for our side navigation components. As a Fleet user, I want to see the gray background for active side navigation links and a consistent width for the side navigation menu, as well as truncated labels that overflow the width with the full label name in the tooltip so that I have a consistent experience in the Fleet user interface. Here we have the new styles on the org settings page. I'm going to skip over the Fleet web address since it's currently my public internet-facing ngrok URL. The integration settings, and then you can see that the mobile device management overflows the width, so we see the full name in a tooltip. Zoom up to 100% here. Here in the OS settings, here in the setup experience, and on the My Device page in the self-service section.
Okay, I was speaking muted earlier, so this was the second, and the last one is this.
Jacob here with a demo of the new location for SSO and host status webhook settings. So as an admin configuring Fleet via the UI, I want to see single sign-on options and host status webhook in the integrations tab instead of organization settings so that I can find those settings more easily. And we see now that SSO and host status webhook used to be right here, and they're now here in integrations. So I don't know. We can update these settings. They're persistent on refresh, and same with host status webhook. Our settings are saved and persisted. And if we try to go to the old routes, we will get forwarded to the new route. And then same for host status webhook.
You're muted, Shro.
Again, okay, we'll move to Lucas and showing configuration profile variables and host vitals based on IDP. Take it, Lucas.
All right, hi folks. So I'll demo this story. So As an IT admin, I want configuration profile variables and host vitals based on my end user's IDP departments so that I can have other third-party tools like Monkey read and take actions based on IDP departments. So this is like a feature we had. This is just an extension. We were collecting IDP username, IDP groups, and now we're collecting IDP departments. So that's basically this issue is like a two-parter. Part one is using the SCIM protocol for ingesting department information from users, and then part two is actually be able to use that information on configuration profiles. So let's demo that. I have this device that we're demoing with on a team called Fubar. And now we can see that there's a new section here called department. In this case, I am set it to engineering. I integrated this fleet is integrated with Okta. So let me just, I may have to log in again, but bear with me. And then we're gonna demo, first we're gonna demo like standard behavior where I change the department of a user, and that gets obviously. Okay. All right, nice demo. This is the first time. Let me try again. All right, I won't be able to show that, but if I change that department, Fleet will automatically, it's kind of automatic because the way SCIM works is Okta or other IDPs will send a request right away to Fleet. So this gets updated in real time almost. And the part two that I should be able to help to demo is let's upload a profile on this team. There's this profile that I uploaded here, minimal, like just a dummy profile. We download it here. It has, you can now use this new variable called fleet bar host and user IDP department on a profile. And this one, I believe it was already deployed to this host. So let's go there. Yeah, it was deployed already. So if we go to device management on this host, you'll see that it says engineering here because now it replaces that. If Okta was working, I would change. If you change the department in Okta, then Fleet gets that information. It will update this field, and then it will automatically redeploy this profile. All right, that's the first story, I believe. Docs. We have these new changes in the docs, basically saying that we now support department. That's basically a change, and also we have. There's some other section in YAML files where you can set now this is a variable, now we add it. All right, next issue is this one. I'm going to demo this, but this was implemented by Jacob and Scott. They're both out of office, so I'll be demoing, so bear with me. As an IT admin, I want labels based on my end user's IDP group and department, so that I can use labels to scope over settings, policies, queries, and software. So this is a great feature. So we have first, there's a new type of label. Sorry, let's click here, add label. All right. So now there's we used to have dynamic. Dynamic means you just write a SQL query, and then every hour the host will run the query and determine whether the host is belongs to this label or not. Manual means the admin manually sets which hosts belong to a query. And now the new type of query is this one called host vitals. This query now sorry, this type of query, this type of label. Currently, we have like only 2 options, but Scott implemented this in a way to make it super extendable for the future, so that we can add a bunch of other fields, not just these 2 that we added on this iteration. I'm going to be able to even do more complex stuff like instead of equal, like comparison and so on. But for now, we start with department and group. So let's create one for group. I think I have even that I don't have, let's call it, I think it's called the wizard. So let's try that. And then I'm going to create a label based on the IDP group. And this, your host will be added automatically. It takes up to 5 minutes. So I'm going to run the automation manually here. And maybe we should, okay, there we go. I have an iPad that belongs to the wizards group on Okta, and it got automatically added to the label at Fleet. So let's now create another label real quick and add label. And now let's do use one uses IDP department, engineering, engineers, save, and then let's run either wait 5 minutes or run this thing. And we now get, well, we get 3 for some reason maybe, but the thing, okay, this one, okay, this one is also part of engineering. And then we got this one, yeah, all of them belong to the engineering in Okta, will now belong to the engineers label at Fleet. All right, and then docs for these. Let me look for these. I believe these are the docs we added the new type of label in the managing labels in Fleet Markdown. Yeah, I think that should be it.
Thank you, Lucas and Scott and Jacob. And last but not least for the features, we have Dante. Please take it.
Hey, give me a second here. I'm just going to launch my video. All right. Share with sound. Different default avatar for API-only users. As a user viewing the activity feed, I want to see a different default avatar for API-only users, so that we can easily spot changes made by humans in the UI versus changes made via API/GitOps. In this change, you can see, if we go to my Fleet instance, we have a new user. Mr. API, you can see he's an API-only user. If we check out our main activity feed here, we can see the default avatar here is this code-looking guy, these angle brackets and the // when it's an API-only user who runs a script. And then we can see here the exact same thing on the host activity page. That's it. Thanks.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you,
Back to you, Sharon.
Dante. Thank you. And I forgot to say after Victor's presentations, I forgot to say that if there was an Academy Award for the most interesting t-shirt, I think we all know who would have been a very good candidate. Thank you, orchestration. Back to you, Luke.
I've been trying to read the whole shirt. I just see MDM dev. I can't see at the bottom where it is.
Yeah, I want to see the
I
shirt.
was gonna wear it, but
You'll have to rewatch the video.
I gotta ask my wife to find it.
Sharon's just trying to get views on the video. That's trying to pump up the numbers. That's fine.
You got me.
That's great. Thank you, orchestration. All great stuff. Speaking to the IDP work a little bit, that has been on our radar for a little while. Really exciting to be shipping that. We first entered our radar really seriously end of last year. I'm counting 10 different customers who requested that feature. So it unlocks a lot of workflows, especially it being skim based, where the IDP is pushing updates to Fleet. So they know as soon as they make an change in their IDP, it gets pushed out. So that unlocks a lot for Fleet, and having that foundation is going to allow us to continue to build on it. So great work and big win in this release. Next, over to Tim and software.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. So we got a big chunky feature. Quick shout out to all the cross-team collaboration here. This is fantastic. It's a big chunky feature. Took a bit of time. I'm just gonna dive right in. Actually, I have that clip right here. I'm gonna open up the chat so people can yell at me about sound quality. All right, let's get in.
I'm going to be demoing a couple of stories today, and I'm going to demo them kind of together, and they kind of fit together, so it makes sense to do just a single demo. The first one is, as an IT admin, I want Fleet to verify that an App Store app is actually installed on a host so that I can add installed App Store apps to the macOS dock. And this story is kind of, it leaves out a little bit of the context here, which is that this customer Numa, was running into issues where they would set up a workstation using Setup Experience and configure some software to be installed, including some VPP apps. And Setup Experience would complete, then the apps would show up as installed in Fleet, and then the Setup Experience would complete. But the apps wouldn't actually be on the device. And this is, not a great user experience. The goal of Setup Experience is that the user exits it with a fully ready to use and configured machine that they can use to just get to work right away. And so if the app isn't actually there, then it's not a great experience. And this was happening because the Fleet would base the install status off of the acknowledgement of the install MDM command, the install application MDM command. But that acknowledgement is basically just the device saying, hey, I got your request to install the app. I'll do it at some point in the future. For small apps, that's a pretty good indicator because the app downloads and installs really quickly, so it's basically when the acknowledgement comes back. But for larger apps that can take a little bit to download and install, the acknowledgement can happen way before the app actually shows up on the device. So yeah, that's the first story. The next story is, as an IT admin, I want host software inventory to reflect installs shortly after they happen so that I can have a consistent view of a host's state post-install. And this is just kind of an improvement for the IT admin. Importantly, refetching host vitals triggers policy queries. So we will be able to get basically all of that data right after an install completes. And this is just a better experience for the IT admin to get that data from the host refetch and the software inventory more quickly. And so because this is triggered right after an install, that's why I'm going to kind of demo them both together. And importantly, this refetching happens for all apps that you install through Fleet, for VPP apps, Fleet maintained apps, and custom packages. But I'll just be demoing it with VPP right now. So I have a MacBook Air that I have enrolled here in my local Fleet instance. You can see I've already installed some software on here. You can also see that it was last fetched 10 minutes ago. And yeah, so we can go ahead and demo this. I have the device screen sharing here in this window. So I'm going to go ahead and install Craft, and just to kind of check Craft isn't here on the device. You can see here in the applications list. So we'll go ahead and install it. And then again, show this list of apps. You can see over here that the status is still installing. So the way that we fix this is that we are now polling after we get the acknowledgement back from the first MDM command, and we're using another MDM command called installed application list to tell us the status of the app installs. So as soon as we get back an acknowledgement from the install command, we start sending these additional commands to check. So you can see here that Craft is present on the device now. It showed up here in the list. It still hasn't flipped to installed yet because we haven't gotten the status back from the last polling command. So this now tracks much better. We're not going to show installed here until the app is actually present. So if we wait just a little bit longer, we should see the status flip over to installed. Great. So it went over to installed. There was a little bit of a delay just because of when the polling gets enqueued. We delay it a little bit just to not overwhelm the devices or Apple servers with commands. But the important part is that it didn't flip to green until after it was actually over here on the device. That's the crucial bit there. The other thing is that if we refresh the web page, you can see that it was last fetched less than a minute ago. So the successful install here triggered or enqueued a refetch of the host vitals. You can see that the installed version was updated because we got the inventory from the device when we refetched. So yeah, that's the functionality. I want to give a big shout out to the folks that worked on this with me. Thank you to Ian for all of his PR reviews and also for implementing the FMA/custom package part of the refetch after install. And then on the Verify VPP app installation side, thank you to Rachel for some front end work. And then an especially big shout out to Sarah and Martin from the MDM team. They helped a ton with architecture feedback for designing the solution and code review as well. So big thanks to them for their time. Oh, and one other thing before I forget. This says macOS, and I think it says it on the ticket as well, but this works for Apple mobile devices as well. So it'll work for iPhones and for iPad. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Everybody, turn down your volume. All right. Back in normal volumes here. Thank you, Haziel. Everybody involved on that one. Next up is Rachel. I can play another video here. There it is. My Zoom controls are.
Hello, this is Rachel from the software team, and so today I'm excited to walk you through the major revamp that I helped design and fully developed on the Host Details software tab. This is ticket 29728. So here's the GitHub ticket. The user story is, as an IT admin, I want to see what software is installed, which is now called the inventory, versus what software is available for install, which we are calling the library, and install and uninstall status, so that I can easily access information that will highlight what actions I have to take. This project started as a one-day hackathon between myself and my team's designer, Eugene, to bring this page in line with domain-driven design and improve the user experience, but it grew significantly based on feedback from coworkers and customers. Because this is a major overhaul, I'll be switching back and forth between the current UI on the left here, which is 4.70, and the new UI that will be rolling out in 4.71 here on the right. So let's take a look at our dog food instance here. Today is July 1st, and this version is 4.70. On the host details page, so you go to host and you click on a host and you get this details page. Under the software tab here, you can see all installed software. Previously, to view software available for install, you had to use this drop down and select available for install, software that can be installed on your host. Now we are splitting that into two separate tabs, removing a click and making it much easier to access the software library. We are calling this the software library, that is, software available to be installed on the machine. So here in 471, you'll see a separate tab, and you can see your software library. This shows what's available for install or uninstall. And this separation is important because some columns may only apply to one domain. For example, certain details are relevant only to the current installed software, while others pertain only to software available for install. So hence we have two separate tables. So let's dive into what has changed. In the inventory, when viewing software, you'll see columns for name, installed version, type, last used, vulnerability, file path, and hash. Note that you can't actually take actions on software in software inventory. This data is pulled hourly from osquery and reflects what's currently installed. osquery doesn't provide detailed information about the software library. About the software's library. osquery only returns detailed information about currently installed software on a host. Previously, in the UI, when you click on actions, you can only see install and uninstall on items that are in the software library. However, we had those same actions available for all software that is installed on a host. So clicking on this actions actually only allows you to show more details. When looking at show more details, usually you only see stuff that is already shown, version, type, and we're including last used in the path and the hash. So now in the new UI, we are surfacing that information in the table itself. Previously, we have this install status column to see the current install status of the last time Fleet attempted an install or an uninstall. However, a lot of these softwares do not have an installer that is related to it, so you see this empty state here. Moreover, we were showing different statuses like self-service that isn't actually an install status, but tells you more about the installer itself that is in the Fleet library. In the new UI, since we removed that column for the inventory, when you look for a software that is related to an installer that is in the library, you'll see this new icon instead that says that software can be installed on the library tab. I do want to note that the installed version might be outdated because it is pulled from osquery hourly. So even though it might say a specific software has a specific version, it might have been recently updated in the last hour, and so this might be actually outdated. All right, so now let's take a look at the library tab. So when we go to the library tab, we're going to see software that is available for install on this host. Notice that the vulnerability column is missing here because we don't actually have a way to detect vulnerabilities on software installers, only on software that is currently installed. To avoid confusion, we remove that column, and we also remove the vulnerabilities filters that was available here because you can't actually use this filter on software installers that are in the library. Another new feature we've added is this drop-down allows you to click on self-service so you can see the software installers that are also available for end users to install from Fleet Desktop Self-Service. So here I am on my own device. I'm able to click on self-service, and you'll see those exact same software here available for me to install. Box and Santa. Box and Santa. In addition, I have also added polling to this page. So if you were to try to reinstall Box and your host is currently online, you will see this installing ... which is actually polling the API every 5 seconds to see if this is actually being reinstalled. If the host is offline, for example, my Windows VM, you will see this uninstall pending status. I wanted to note that these actions and these statuses is what the user now sees in Fleet Desktop. So these are actually aligned between both pages. Oh, there's Box already installed. Let me go ahead and close that out of the way. So going back to this page, I do want to note that we did add one more thing to the library page, and that is an Add Software button here. This will quickly add software to a host, and it uses the host platform and team to select the appropriate default view. So for Mac and Windows devices, if you click on this, it will go to Add Software Fleet Maintained Apps page for that specific team. And you'll see that in the team ID parameter in the URL. For iOS devices, it will route to the VPP Add Software page. And for other types of devices like Linux machines, it will route to Add Software Custom Package. So I'm proud to roll out these new changes and major improvements in 471. This work has led to several follow-up tickets to further improve the host software API driving this UI. And we have several tickets lined up for the upcoming sprints to iterate on the UI itself. Oh yeah, and we always welcome feedback to make this page even better. Thank you.
Awesome. So obviously a lot of stuff there.
Hello, this is Rachel from the software.
Let's not do that.
Just to highlight, and I think Rachel touched on this a little bit, but something we're focusing on is creating a ubiquitous language, and it's impacting software, I think, the most in terms of the different names that we use for software. So Tim, real quick, could you just highlight the difference between library and inventory so we can try to establish that?
Yes, and I think we can look at this in dog food right off the bat. Let's find.
The idea being, if we all use the same ubiquitous language, the customers will learn it, and then when we all say library versus inventory, we'll know what we're talking about.
This is not live, but yes. So there's a couple different categories. We have inventory, which is the kind of the original definition of software for Fleet. That is software that is installed on a host. We have library, which is a software that's available to install on a host. We also have catalog, which is a software that's available, a Fleet maintained software that's available to add to your library in Fleet. If that makes sense.
Yep. It'll take some time for it to sink in for everybody, but just to recap, inventory is everything installed on the computer. Library is everything that's available to install on the host. And then catalog are things like VPP apps that are available to add to your library, which you can then add to a computer.
Or fleet maintained apps.
Or fleet maintained apps.
Awesome. Next one falls under technically under an improvement, but I think it was super cool, and we want to demo it for you. So I'll pass it over to Constantine.
I was going to say catalog is an excellent tee-off point here, because fleet maintained apps, we have some fairly significant goals around fleet maintained apps. We have around 30 of them right now in different platforms, Mac OS X, Linux, and Windows in different varying states. And the big deal that we have going on here is there's a lot of them. So anytime we want to upgrade to a different version, or to allow our customers to get these new versions, we have to test the installation of these libraries and then also the uninstallation of these libraries. And if you start doing the cross product here of say 30 FMAs, fleet maintained apps, times 3 platforms, we're talking about potentially up to 90 tests already of installing and uninstalling software. And if we keep expanding the number of apps, it's obviously not going to scale. So we need to have some kind of automated way to test this. So this Take It Hero was basically to come up with some strategy for us to use GitHub Actions to automatically test the installation and uninstallation of FMAs. So this is just a sort of a rough draft, a proof of concept, so to speak. And right now it's only testing Mac because that's our best support. But it basically installs all of the FMAs that we have and then uses OS Query to sort of check to make sure that the FMA is installed properly. And then when we run the uninstall, make sure that it's uninstalled properly and OS Query no longer reports it. So as you can see here, it's running on GitHub Actions here. For a majority, this is just a very verbose output because when we do have a failure, we want to see why the application's failed. But as you can see, the steps here again are sort of installing or checking to make sure the library isn't there, installing it, running OS Query to make sure that it is there, and then validating that it installed the correct version. And then it will uninstall the application and then make sure that that is no longer installed. So this is just a POC. We obviously have a little bit of more work to harden this, but it basically goes and says that, we have a majority of these apps validated. And the reason why some of these are failing is actually unrelated errors to the build process. It's actually checking different versions, and we have some version mismatches between our manifest file and then what OS Query returns. So there's going to be more work to come on this. Obviously, it's a pretty big initiative. It's also, hopefully going to help us automate some of this FMA testing process so we can more quickly or even really scale our FMA library, our catalog for our customers.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This will help us obviously accelerate adding more to the catalog and updating the catalog much faster. So
very
more
cool.
to come.
Yeah, very cool, Konstantin, and great thinking in terms of how we can maintain quality as we scale, right? As we scale, it's a lot more challenging to manually test everything like when we started. And so these type of innovations are going to be necessary for us to scale and maintain the type of quality that we need to as we do that. All right, so we have 20 minutes for bugs and improvements across 3 product teams. So I'll let you do your own math on what we can afford to show and what we can't. Probably can't afford to demo anything unless it's especially notable. So I'll hand it over to George for bug fixes and improvements on MDM.
Absolutely. And in that spirit, I'm going to give everybody a quick look at the doc for the MDM section. We had a lot of great small or medium bug fixes this sprint. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on anything in this list. But I do want to mention the P0 that Jordan and Ian covered over the weekend. I will be making a patch 4.70.1 later today. And we've already deployed basically the custom branch out to the only affected customer. This was a miss when more than one host had different users for the same certificate, and we were going back and basically updating the list of users for the certificate. It was not identifying it for the correct host. It was kind of flip-flopping back and forth between all different hosts that had the same certificate for different users. So that has been resolved, and we'll be rolling out the patch soon. Otherwise, let me know if you need anything. Over to Sharon.
Okay, thank you, George. We have a list of things, but we have one important thing that I want to present. Customer Preston asked us to solve two improvements. I'll show the video for that. 1 second.
Jacob Shandling with Fleet here, giving a demo of the updated Primo mode functionality. So basically we wanted to get a bit more specific about which underlying team to have the UI use when in Primo mode on different pages, since no team versus all teams have slightly different implications regarding functionality. So we've got the UI here in Primo mode. We have no teams drop downs, but this is under the hood on all teams currently. So that's because the dashboard doesn't support no team. Being on all teams, we still get the activity feed, etc. Now we go to the host page, you'll notice that we've got team ID 0. So we're now under the hood on no team. And that is enforced. So if we try to change the team ID, we'll be pushed back to no team. And if we try to remove it, the same will happen. On the controls page, also no team, same idea. We only allow it to be on no team. And software page, this is the original bug reported. We're forced to team ID 0 in the URL here. Again, if we change it, we're forced back. So there's no room for user error there. And if we want to see available for install software, we can now do that. We've also got small improvements to the text here that don't imply anything about teams. And the queries page does not support no team, so we're now under the hood using all team here. Excuse me, all teams, and we've got the updated empty states not referring to teams. Policies does support no team, so similar. We've got using no team under the hood and not referring to teams. One caveat is, actually one caveat here on the software page is software automations are configured via all teams. So I had to make a choice here whether to enable adding software or software automations. We're gonna favor adding software. The adding software functionality. If we want both functionality here, that's going to be a very big feature that'll need to go through a larger drafting process with more formal prioritization and design. Okay, that's the feature. Jacob Chandling with Fleet here, giving a...
Okay, so the reason I showed this one is because it was, I think, the fastest from reporting of the bug to delivering it in next version. And I had a video for that, and I did not do a sorting of priority. Does anyone from the orchestration team want to show something very important?
I think Victor has the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Victor.
Can you stop sharing?
Yes.
All right. So there's some questions about the t-shirt design. And I've been practicing for Fleet's upcoming t-shirt design contest. So if you want to see this whole design. Yeah.
That's cool.
Like Fleet Manager. Oh, it's awesome.
Victor, do you print them for others as well? Can I order one?
It is available in our, what do we use? What's the?
Oh, Printful.
Printful. It is available on Printful, so it is there. So you could get your own version.
Well, I'm glad we got to see the whole thing. I had no idea there was so much awesome.
Yeah, maybe a little too big.
I told you not to use my password on the shirt, Victor. So I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, cool. Any
Yeah, anyone from orchestration wants to demo anything quickly? If not, we'll give software team has been always last, so maybe we'll give you the opportunity.
Sure. Actually, Ian has a couple things to highlight in this sprint's bug list. Pass it over to you.
Alrighty, and this time I'm not muted to start with. So a fair number of these changes were actually because they were either website related or Fleet Maintained app related or vulnerability feed related. They are already live. I'll let you know when I switch from those to the ones that are shipping in 471. First off, if you looked at last sprint demos, you would have seen changes to our documentation, removing a lot of here and click here anchors on links. With this change here that has already merged, we have a CI job to make sure that those don't creep back in. Next, there are a couple of false positives that we fixed with the vulnerabilities feed updates, including some changes to make those updates easier. Fleet Control Preview did not have an object store set up, so software uploads would succeed, but installs would fail. Fix that. Um, Zach bumped OS query versions and OS versions for use in that OS query in a box Docker Compose file that Fleet Control Preview uses. So we're now on, I believe, OS query 5.17.1 or 5.17 with modern OS versions across Debian, Ubuntu, and CentOS, I believe. And there were a couple of cleanups on Fleet Maintained app, update PRs, including the ability to, if we need to hold a maintained app back while we fix install or uninstall scripts due to underlying software changes, we can now do that while letting the rest of the app catalog through. It's another quick tweak to Fleet Maintained apps because Homebrew changed the name of their Docker formula. Also, this one has not quite gone live yet, but is up for review and should be going live soon. Previously, MSI uninstall scripts would only uninstall the particular product code for the version that was in that FMA manifest, which means that if something auto-updated or manually updated, it wouldn't uninstall. Now we're checking by upgrade code. So if you install that same kind of family of product or family of versions for, say, Chrome and it auto-updated, the uninstall script would still uninstall the updated version as well as the version that was mentioned in the Fleet Maintained app. Switching over to stuff that is landing in 471. There were a couple of kind of round tripping issues or output issues in the Fleet Control generate GitOps command. This one got fixed. Skip over to let's see here. This one got fixed, and this is actually a community contribution. Thank you to Drew Trevidia for this fix to make sure that that generate GitOps command is spitting out the right information. Then we are actually checking as of 471 hourly rather than daily for new Fleet Maintained apps. As we grow that catalog, those are going to be popping in a little bit more often. So, and now that we're doing the majority of the work on ingestion within GitHub Actions, we could afford to have this happen more often. Additionally, we saw some issues with performance when you have a bunch of teams and you're applying GitOps runs there. Turns out switching a polling interval to happen a little bit more quickly sped that up significantly for cases that had a large number of teams. This is a kind of interesting one. The solution for this, in addition to config changes, I took a look at where we were using prepared statements and hot paths and where the only injected parameters were host IDs. And it's like, well, you can just inject the host IDs in as integers directly and do that without a prepared statement and still not fall victim to SQL injection. So made a couple changes there that should reduce the number of concurrent prepared statements that we have in high load environments. And then there's another bug fix around host counts on vulnerabilities jobs if the database got into a weird state, and a quick UI fix on on how many results we show in the software title page. Those are my fixes. Now up for Rachel's. It's available for installs or self-service, was visible where it didn't really apply. That was cleaned up in 470 and had a loading state issue that was inconsistent. Double checking here, I believe. Yeah, that made it into 470 as well. And there's a docs fix to reflect what you could request on the host software API. And then for 471, there's a bit of a tooltip issue that was resolved. And then these two tickets are for actually the same issue where if we filtered a team to a particular piece of software installed and then switched teams to somewhere where that software wasn't installed, we would get this something's gone wrong error rather than proper no results error or empty state, and that has now been fixed. And that is the end of that lightning round.
Whew. And brief. Good job there. I know we wanted to save a little bit of time for OS query features. Do you want to get right into that?
Yeah, let's jump over to those. I guess just to quickly call out some other fixes. Constantine had a bunch of fixes for fleet maintained apps, and as well as contribution on the OS query side. So I don't know if Scott is on the call.
No, he's not. I can quickly.
If you just want to talk through Scott and Dante's real quick.
Yeah, I'll do Scott and Dante will do his quick.
Okay.
So this is a bug fix, but it's a very important one with a lot of history. It's worth an Eng Together session just to discuss this thing, but in very quickly, there are two options for OS query to give a host ID, either by taking it from the hardware or setting it as a UUID option in case it's a VM or something. And it was done in a way that if you already have a UUID set in the database, you wouldn't look for hardware. And so when you clone a machine, when it already had one, it will be the same number. And Scott fixed it in a way that we always check the hardware first. Then we put it in the DB, and then we do this session of flowchart here. I won't go into it. If anyone is interested, it's linked in the bug itself, but an important bug. And next, Dante, please quickly present this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I can even do it with, oh, never mind. I was going to say I can do it with your screen share because there's not much to say.
There you go.
It's, there was an issue where on ARM CPUs, if you're using the x86 version of OS Query, it would always show up as an x86 CPU. Which wouldn't be accurate. So we added a new column that shows, first of all, what the OS is presenting OS Query as the actual CPU, which is in emulation x86. But there's an extra call you can do that gets you the actual CPU type. And we now return that as an extra column so that people who need to know can check it. That's it.
Great, thank you. And look.
Cool.
We can,
Constantine, do you want to speak to the JetBrains plugins table?
Sure. I thought I demoed that last.
Oh, okay, you might have.
Yeah.
There's a JetBrains plugins table. I think you did as well. So maybe that just didn't get removed. Zach Wasserman, I don't think he's on this call, but he has 4 fixes going in that you can see here. And then Lucas has the last one, reduce log noise for hash table. Anything that we should speak to on that, Lucas?
No, this was like hitting customer, basically causing disk space issues.
Cool.
Because like terabytes of data, but now it's cleared. Yeah.
Awesome. And just to point out, this is just a patch release for OS Query, so just bug fixes. We have 8 commits, 8 bug fixes in this patch. So really awesome to see the involvement in continuing to move that project forward. So thank you for everyone who's contributing to that.